extraordinary structure is challenging all limits of modern science. Baalbek.
Giant stones weighing over 1,000 tons are mysteriously stacked on top of each other,
As if arranged by the hands of giants. How could the ancients move stones 3 times heavier than the Eiffel Tower? And why do all archaeological theories collapse before this magnificent structure? Is this the most compelling evidence of the existence of a superior civilization, forgotten in the flow of time? Let's explore one of humanity. Baalbek is located in
northeastern Lebanon, about 96 kilometers from the capital Beirut.
Its position is at an altitude of about 914 meters, on a sacred hill in the Bekaa Valley. Access to this place is currently difficult. But thousands of years ago, even before the Romans built the famous temple, and even before the Phoenicians erected the Temple of Baalbek,
great stone structures already existed here.
some are considered the largest ever discovered on Earth. According to mainstream historical accounts, Baalbek is a symbol of Roman architectural talent,
The Temple of the Rising Sun still stands today,
testifying to the might of Roman architecture. But the strangeness lies deep beneath their construction. A series of giant stones called the trilithon,
forming the foundation for the temple complex.
These stones are enormous in size, each over 19 meters long,
4.2 meters high and 3.6 meters thick, weighing about 900 tons.
This means each stone is more than 36 times heavier than the stones used to build Stonehenge, and 10 times the weight of the largest stones at the Great Pyramid of Giza. What puzzles researchers is not only the massive size of the stones, but also how they were transported from a quarry about 1,000 meters away and placed 9 meters above ground level. These stones are cut and fitted with astonishing precision.
The joints are so narrow that not even a piece of paper can be inserted between them.
However, unlike traditional Roman structures that are often aesthetic and celebrate external beauty, these trilithon blocks were not designed to be seen.
They lie buried beneath the foundation, almost invisible,
with the sole purpose of supporting the structure. This raises the question: why did the ancients go to the trouble of moving these giant stones,
only to bury them under the foundation?
The Romans, known for their meticulous documentation of their architectural works, left no records explaining how they moved or placed these 900-ton stones into position. Notably,
the largest Roman cranes can only lift a maximum of 60 tons. Therefore, moving stones larger than 900 tons
without leaving any traces of drilling suggests this could not be their work. Additionally, signs of wind erosion and sand on the trilithon stones could not appear on Roman structures, suggesting these stones may have existed thousands of years before the Romans arrived. Some researchers like Graham Hancock believe the trilithon could date back around 12,000 years, much longer ago than when the Romans built here. If this is true, these massive stones could be evidence of a long-lost advanced civilization. This also raises a big question: who really built this foundation? And how could they have done it with technologies that we believe were impossible during that period?
Baalbek is not just a challenging archaeological site.
It's also a reminder that human history might be much deeper and more mysterious than we ever thought. These giant stones are an unsolved mystery, and we may still have much to discover about our distant past. The unknown stones are just the beginning of an even greater mystery.
When delving into the southern area of the Salomon Temple,
another massive stone structure was discovered.
This stone block weighs about 800 tons, and when compared to the size of tourists standing nearby,
one can truly appreciate its grandeur. There is also a megalithic wall, with a series of stones having absolutely smooth surfaces. Looking at how they fit together, Everyone is amazed by the perfection of each stone block,
Some blocks are even placed in angled positions,
making the entire structure magnificent and impressive.
What's remarkable is that this construction technique seems far beyond the capabilities of the Romans, Greeks, or Venetians.
Anyone can recognize the clear difference
Between the megalithic blocks placed as foundation
and the cruder Roman structures built later.
If you look closely at the surface of these giant stones,
You'll discover mysterious parallel scratches. These scratches span about 3 meters and are perfectly aligned, making us question, how could these marks have appeared? Certainly not from primitive tools. Upon closer observation, these scratches are identical to marks left by modern machinery, suggesting they might have been created by some kind of advanced equipment.
Comparisons between these megalithic sites and modern machinery marks show
an astonishing similarity. Could prehistoric civilizations have possessed advanced technology similar to the heavy machinery and equipment we use today? This makes the story of Paupek more fascinating than ever. An independent scientific research center in Russia named LOR, the World History Laboratory, has studied the Paupek megalithic structure in great detail.
They have discovered many small machine marks on the stone blocks here.
What's interesting are the cuts on the stones in the southern area of the Paupek megalithic wall, captured with incredible detail.
Researchers also point out that the stone blocks were pressed together with such high precision.
It's hard to believe they were created with primitive tools. So who were the people who built these structures and what technology did they use? What's certain is that the mystery of Paupek remains unsolved. And perhaps the history of humanity as we know it doesn't fully encompass everything that truly happened in the past.
What's even more astonishing are the details of the edges of these massive stone blocks.
When approaching closely, we can see a thin G-line running along the edge between two surfaces,
where the stone blocks contact each other. This line is so thin it's less than 1/3 of a millimeter.
An unbelievable level of precision. No one knows what kind of tool or cutting edge created that delicate G-line. But it's certain that creating such a refined line was completely impossible with the primitive technology of that time. Additionally, when carefully observing the edges of the stone blocks, we see surfaces originating with various phases and different edge contributions, created with similar precision on both stone blocks. These surfaces are so exquisitely crafted that they resemble jewelry items, and some areas are even polished smooth. This sophistication doesn't stop at the precision of lines,
but also extends to small details like small groove paths carved so meticulous.
No deviations can be detected, even when measured in millimeters.
When moving to the giant wall section located in the southern part of the Paupek complex,
we clearly see stone blocks weighing up to 800 tons, with their dark colors, showing clear signs that they are much older than Roman structures.
These stones fit together with unbelievable perfection.
The joints so tight that from a distance, the seams are almost invisible. Moreover, the bigger question remains, how could ancient builders transport and install these massive stone blocks at heights of tens of meters?
It's unbelievable that 800-ton stone blocks, some even reaching 1,000 tons,
were stacked on top of each other with such high precision, especially at a time when heavy machinery tools like today's were completely absent. This makes archaeologists even more puzzled, as many excavations still haven't been able to fully clarify the entire Paupek complex. Right next to the wooden temple is the Patras temple, where similar massive stones were used as hooks.
These stones also weigh about 800 tons and are perfectly fitted together.
T. Approach closely, U. The stone blocks are not only heavy but also processed with unbelievable precision, far exceeding what we can imagine about the construction capabilities of ancient civilizations. However, the giant stones aren't everything. When visiting Biopac, the first thing that might catch people's eyes are the giant columns.
Especially the columns anchoring the wooden temple.
These are the largest columns ever built in classical history. However, unlike the selected stone blocks, these columns are the work of the Romans. They stand up to 20 meters tall, built with limestone quarried from nearby mines. Interestingly, instead of using solid columns, the Romans built them in small sections called drums, then carefully assembled them together into a complete column. Each of these drum sections is large and weighs up to 60 tons, exactly at the maximum limit that Roman cranes could lift. This demonstrates the Romans' cleverness and excellent skills in constructing monumental buildings. Although technologically, they were still far behind the selected civilization that built the giant stone structures at Biopac. All of this raises a big question. Who were the people who built these massive structures and what technology did they use? But the mystery of Biopac remains, challenging our understanding of history and human capabilities in ancient times. Certainly, the story of Biopac is far from being fully resolved, and it might be a missing piece of humanity's glorious past civilization. The Romans used extremely skillful techniques to build their massive stone columns, especially the assembly of column segments called drums into towering columns. One of the secrets enabling them to do this was the use of empalion holes, precisely drilled cavities into the center of each drum segment.
But these holes didn't just help align the drum segments with each other.
They also served as connection points for heavy lifting devices. To lift these heavy stone blocks,
the Romans used an ingenious tool called the lalilites, a special metal clamp. These clamps were securely inserted into the drilled cavities on the drum segments, then connected to cranes to slowly lift the stone blocks into the air.
The technique of lifting and assembling these stone columns truly testifies to Roman talent and advanced engineering. But interestingly, these magnificent Roman columns aren't the only ones found at Biopac. As archaeologists continued excavating, they were utterly amazed to discover a series of much older stone columns. And this caused a major shock. Unlike the Roman columns made from locally quarried limestone, these ancient columns were made from pink granite, a much harder and more durable stone. Even more remarkable is that these granite columns weren't built from connected drum segments, but were monolithic stone blocks.
Researchers have found about 200 such columns,
and astonishingly, they didn't originate from the nearby area, but were quarried from Aswan, Egypt, over 1,126 kilometers away from Baalbek. This is the famous quarry that provided the granite blocks used to build the King's Chamber in the Giza Pyramid. Transporting stone blocks weighing up to 80 tons from Aswan to Giza was already an impressive feat. But when you consider moving similar stone columns over 1,126 kilometers to Baalbek, across the Lebanon mountain range with average heights reaching 2,500 meters, this task becomes incredibly miraculous and unbelievable. Transporting these massive stone columns required not only organizational skills and technology, but also deep understanding of how to handle and transport enormous materials. Something we often think was beyond the capabilities of ancient civilizations. But this isn't the most astonishing thing yet. Granite, as we know, is one of the hardest materials on Earth. To cut and shape this stone, people today typically use diamond-tipped tools. Because granite is so hard it can't be processed with ordinary tools. Notably, these diamond stone cutting tools were only invented in the late 19th century. Yet these ancient granite blocks were shaped with incredible precision, to the point where their surfaces are perfect and smooth as mirrors. Additionally, upon closer examination, the blocks have transitions from curved to flat surfaces.
Extremely sophisticated, not only demonstrating skillful craftsmanship,
but requiring a level of engineering that astonishes modern scientists. People wonder, how could these ancient civilizations, without modern technology, work granite so perfectly? All these discoveries not only surprise scientists,
but also raise many questions about the technical and technological capabilities of ancient civilization.
How could they transport these massive stone blocks through rugged terrain? And how could they work granite with such high precision? The answers to these questions remain one of the great mysteries of human history. The discoveries at Pahopek open an intriguing and challenging door to our understanding of human capabilities in the distant past. One thing that puzzles researchers is the condition of the pink granite blocks that were once part of the complex. Many of them have broken into pieces, along with countless other ruins scattered everywhere. When looking at this scene full of shattered stone fragments, it seems as if some catastrophic event occurred, powerful enough to destroy even multi-ton granite blocks. And what could cause such destructive power? When carefully observing the broken stone pieces, you'll see some strange cuts, resembling traces of more modern machinery rather than primitive tools. Ryan Foster, a renowned author and researcher, has visited Pipak's many times to study these ruins. Pipak's Lebanon megalith of the ghost. In it, he describes a series of strange phenomena that he believes are the result of using complex machinery, particularly noting signs of iron oxidation. This suggests that these stone blocks might have been cut using some kind of iron-using machine. But perhaps one of the most interesting discoveries at Pipak's isn't in the main complex, but rather the Pipak's quarry located about over 1 kilometer away. This quarry is where most of the large stone blocks were extracted to build the massive structures, including the famous trilithon stones. However, what's more fascinating is that some monolithic blocks at the quarry remain unfinished, and they're even larger than the trilithon stones that were used. One of the most famous stones discovered at this quarry is the Mankai woman stone. The name comes from a local legend.
This giant stone is approximately 21 meters long, 4 meters high and wide, with an estimated weight of over 1,200 tons. Notably, the bottom of this stone block is still attached to the quarry floor,
as if only one final step was needed to completely separate it and prepare it for transport to the intended location. But how could ancient people move and use such a giant stone block? Looking at the cuts on the surface of the Mankai woman stone, you again see similar strange marks as on other stones in the complex, raising hypotheses about the use of machinery. At Jungfrau Park in Switzerland, a model was created to simulate how many modern cranes would be needed to lift this stone.
The result is that even assuming ancient people had crane technology like we do today,
the space around the stone wouldn't be sufficient to position all the necessary cranes. So if they could lift the stone, how would they transport it to the construction area? This remains a major question.
The sophistication and enormous size of the megalithic stones at Pahopek
remain one of the greatest mysteries we haven't yet decoded, challenging our understanding of ancient technology, strength, and human will in the past. The road to Pahopek is not only long but also extremely steep, crossing rough and winding terrain. This makes us wonder how ancient people could transport such giant stone blocks there. There are no signs indicating that ancient people built a flat road to serve transportation. But the real challenge appears when the stone blocks reach the site. How could people lift those enormous stones and place them with perfect precision down to the smallest detail? Even if you imagine that ancient people might have used large pulley systems, finding a suitable position to install those giant machines seems impossible.
Another factor that makes researchers even more curious is the geology of the quarry.
The Earth appears to have uplifted, causing the quarry area to bulge,
suggesting it might have existed tens of thousands of years ago.
This might push the biopag quarry into the pre-flood period, a much older era than what we typically think. That same geological change can be the reason people were forced to abandon the quarry so abruptly. Perhaps some natural disaster, like an earthquake or flood, caused the builders to stop their unfinished work. 1.
These are unfinished giant stone blocks at the location where we see them today.
2.
But Alban doesn't only have large stone blocks. This quarry also contains caves.
3.
Smaller stone blocks, and a strange type of structure called witnesses.
4.
These stone pillars stand upright like sentinels, creating a mysterious image.
5.
Completely different from ordinary cross-cut stone blocks.
6. The name witness implies that they could serve as signs or important landmarks. 7.
Possibly marking stages of stone quarrying or indicating the importance of this quarry.
8.
Many hypotheses have been proposed about the true purpose of these standing stones.
9. Some researchers believe they have ritual significance or relate to astronomical events. 10.
Because ancient people often incorporated astronomical elements into the construction of their monuments.
11.
This can be compared to the standing stones at Stonehenge or quarried in France.
12. Where they are also believed to be related to the alignment of stars or the sun. 13.
Another notable point is that not far from the main quarry.
14.
There is a smaller, lesser-known quarry that has hardly been fully excavated.
15.
This place contains another giant stone block called the Fulham Stone.
16.
This stone block is even larger than a pregnant woman's stone in size.
17.
With an estimated weight of about 1,300.
18. The upper part of this stone block might have been seen by the Romans during their time. 19. Cracked with many small cuts from the Romans' attempts to cut it into smaller pieces for use in construction. 20.
However, even the Romans with their advanced technical skills at that time.
21.
Could not move or use this entire monolithic stone block.
22.
Some suggest that this quarry is even larger than the main quarry discussed earlier. 23. But unfortunately, it has not been completely excavated to this depth.
24.
And much construction waste continues to be dumped on its surface.
25. Obscuring the mysteries still hidden beneath.
26. So what could lie deeper beneath these giant stone blocks?
27.
Only time and further excavations can answer that.
28.
However, it's clear that the megalithic structures at Petek are not merely large stone blocks.
29. They are living evidence of the existence of an advanced civilization that we may never have known about. 30. A civilization with technological capabilities far beyond what we can imagine for prehistoric times.
31. More interestingly, there are many legends surrounding Petek. 32. One of the famous legends suggests that Cain, the son of Adam,
33. Built Petek with the help of the Nephilim giants just 133 years after the world was created. 34.
These giants were later punished for their sins by the Great Flood.
35.
But their traces remain through time, believed to be preserved in the giant stones of Petek.
36.
Whether viewed through the lens of myth, speculative history, or serious archaeological research. 37. Petek remains a mysterious and fascinating. 38. Making people around the world curious and wanting to learn more. 39. It is not just an architectural work, but also evidence of the complexity and enormous scale of ancient civilizations. 40. About which we still have very little understanding. 41. See you all in the next video.